Today I'm interviewing Linda McKanna, and she's going to start talking about her charity, A Child Lives. So Linda, tell us a little bit about your organization. What does it do right now?
First of all, thank you, David, for having me just to share my heart, because that's basically what it is. My charity, A Child Lives, began in 2010. I went to Uganda to see my sponsored child and fell in love not only with her, but with the whole area of village of Nabasa. But I also realized one thing, and that was without sponsorships, children don't live past the age 13. And that was devastating to me, and I seen it firsthand. So basically, that's how I started sponsoring children.
How many children does your organization sponsor right now in the village?
Right now, it sponsors 157. My goal, when I began, I thought if I'd sponsor 100, that would be just phenomenal. But right now, I'm up to 157, and the school has been named after me, which is just a godsend. Did I plan on that? No. People ask me, was that a goal? That was not a goal. But they said they had to name it after me because I continued to show up. I guess that's a reason.
I remember being with you there when you found out it was named after you. That was quite a shock.
That was a shock. When they called me off to the side and said they had something to ask me, I thought, boy, it could be one of a million questions. But to ask if they could name the school after me was, I didn't know what to say. I was wordless. It was cool, but I really didn't know what to say, other than sure.
So how many years have you been making trips to Nabasa?
I was thinking about that because there were some years I went twice. I started in 2008 was my first trip, so that would make it 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
17 years.
And how many trips?
And 19 trips.
Wow.
That's a wow, because you threw COVID in there, and there was one of them years I skipped. But after, I go when the Lord says it's time to go and check on things.
Mm-hmm. So I worked on putting a water project in that village as part of a Rotary Global Grant project, and we put in 4 wells and toilets at the school. So what's the difference have the toilets made that I put in there? Or did you go back and look?
Oh, did I go back and look? Of course, I even used them because they were just, I'm trying to find the right word to use of these facilities that the children used at school. Nothing clean, nothing that wasn't just infested with bugs. So this water sanitation that was installed in the school has made the children healthier, happier. It made me happier because now I get to benefit from this improvement also.
Tell us the difference that you've seen in the village since you first started going and now.
Wow, David, that is a question that brings tears to my eyes. Like I said, I have been traveling back to Uganda for the last 17 years. And then I'd come back and present. And it was doom and gloom, like they need this, they need that, they need medical help here, a child is about to die, from cleft lip to falling into a fire. They needed help. This past year I went, the smiles, the joy, the excitement for life, the medical needs that's been met, and how the school has grown. When I went the first year, there was 82 students in that school. Today, over 900.
Wow.
That is a wow. And I'd like to say it's all because of me, but it's not. It is because of caring, loving individuals, not only of David, but people who believed in the children and wanted to add value to them. This last time I went, some of the children now are 18, 19, 22 years old. And they want to show me what they're doing. One young man is now working at a steel company making these metal doors for homes. He was so proud to show me what he has become. His mentor at the steel company took him underneath his wings after he graduated and showed him what to do, and he just flew with it. That's just one of the many stories. My first child, Joy, she was 4 when I began to sponsor her. Today, she is now a nurse serving others the same way that she claims that she's seen in me. And that is, we are called to lead by example. And that's the best. I think the best thing that someone could say is, because of you, I have succeeded in life.
One thing I noticed when I was there was just the joy of all the kids when they were up there and dancing and moving around, and I don't know how to describe it, but it was almost like a different electricity that they had in just being together and just celebrating. And it was incredible how long they could dance.
Celebrating is the perfect word, because they come to celebrate. They come to celebrate life, their life and the life of others. If you recall, I said earlier that a child doesn't live past 13 because of the hardships, the diseases, the environment that they live in day out of every day. There is no stopping it. Someone had asked me about their schoolwork and that they just go home and do it. Well, remember, there's no lights in these homes. There's no electricity in these homes. So what they get done during daylight is what they get done. A child really needs to make an effort to succeed. But with that being said, they do need someone behind them, backing them financially, spiritually, mentally, physically, so they can continue to move on and follow their heart's desire. But the joy you see is joy from the heart and gratitude of where they are in life at that time.
On a more lighter and interesting note, what are some of the gifts that you've received right before you left at the end?
Gifts are not like here. If you think for only a moment, what would be a gift that would be truly from you, that you would feel an absence from? A lot of times we give gifts because we bought it at a store. Over there, when you receive a gift, it's in food, because that's all they do have to give you. Through my years, I received everything from a goat to a chicken to a turkey to avocados to eggs.
Lots of peanuts.
Lots of peanuts. Peanuts. Let me not forget the peanuts. I mean, we almost come back with a suitcase of peanuts to share with others. And you think, how do you get peanuts through customs? They have never stopped us yet. We put them in our suitcases, roll them up in our dirty clothes or whatever we have, and we go through. So that's kind of a blessing too, to come back and share peanuts from Uganda, and coffee.
You never tried to bring a chicken back yet?
I have not. When I receive a chicken, it's given to Reverend Abraham, because many of the children that don't have food to eat will go to his house and he will feed them. The Bible says, let me turn this off. The Bible says, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And that is so true with Reverend Abraham. He serves everyone that comes to his house. And that's why the chicken, bananas is another gift. Bananas is a big gift over there. And people will look at me and say, well, Linda, you don't like bananas. But I do over there. Those bananas are they're just so delicious. They're not growing in a greenhouse. They're growing underneath the sun, which I think makes them richer, more tastier, but so are their avocados. But food is the gift.
Tell us about some of the places you stayed at while you've been there. How
Oh,
about the best and the worst?
the best and the worst. Well, the worst is in a tent for 9 days in a tent. And you're looking at me, all you campers out there, and say, well, what's so bad with that? I don't camp. I can't say that anymore because I camped there for 9 days. No running water. The bathrooms, you went out, further out where hopefully nobody's seen you, which takes on a memory of mine that the first time they said you need to go outside your tent to go to the bathroom, I thought, okay. They said one thing though, be careful of who is around you. And I'm thinking animals? But no, they said children. You sometimes will see 2 children huddled beside a tree in that had no place to go. I found that hard to believe until I went out. And yes, there wasn't 2, there was 1. But that's where he slept. And that's so hard for me to wrap my mind around, that a child had nowhere to go. But that's life. That is life over in Uganda. The best place is where I stay at now, the Casa Villa. It's not a Hilton, but it's a bed, and we have a shower. Sometimes hot water, but most of the time it's lukewarm on the cold side. But it's a shower, and I'm grateful for that. And I have a bed and not the ground. So that's probably the best to the worst. And it's just, sometimes you can't imagine your choices. And when you see what they live in, it's all good. It's all good.
Now, I know you do some other things during the course of your trips over to Uganda. Tell us about when you get there, as part of your charity, you make sure you check out every single kid that's being sponsored. And take the picture. I mean, you are the verifier, the authenticator, to make sure that all the money everybody gives is going to the right place.
That is true, David. When I began, I thought I need to make sure the money that is donated for sponsorships is put towards the child so their needs that I have shared are met. And the only way to do that was to go and check them out personally. And that's what I do. I go, I check out each child, make sure they look healthy, happy, they're moving around, there's no illnesses, and they are. And that's why it works. I don't take an income from that. As I tell people, I'm working for the Lord. And I told him in the beginning that I wanted to be his middle person. And that's what he made me. I go, I check out his children, and then I'm allowed to come back and share it with the sponsors that their child is doing wonderful. And when their renewal comes up, I have asked Isaac, Reverend Abraham's son, to send me a picture, an updated picture of their child with a letter to confirm that their child is just flourishing in life and succeeding and living a life as a child.
Tell us a little bit about some of the medical camps that you've done at the village as part of your trips, and what part a child lives has played in terms of providing the medicine and some of the cost of holding that.
Medical was not part of the protocol when I began, but when I would travel, it was a part of the protocol for the children to be healthy and to be happy and to go to school. I remember there was a little boy that I met the second time I was there. He was 10 years old, and I walked up to him and I shook his hand. And I asked him his name, and then I asked him what he wanted to be when he grew up. He so confidently said, I want to be a doctor. And I said, we're going to make that happen. Just so happened, his name is Emmanuel, and he is Reverend Abraham's son. And today, 15 years later, he is a doctor. And he comes back to the village for me, for a child lives. And he gets 40, 50 volunteers from Kampala to come with him. And they spend the weekend in the village assessing and ministering to health care to anyone who needs it, from the elderly to the youngest. You might say, what do you see? A lot of high blood pressure, but HIV, syphilis,
Malaria.
Malaria. Oh gosh, malaria. How can I forget that? Malaria is so common over there that is like, but they minister that. Probably the saddest thing I see is burnt children. Children that were outside by the fire, helping their mothers cook, or just watching, and they somehow slipped and fell into the fire or into the pot of hot water. That is heartbreaking. And them are the ones that I can't handle seeing. So we get them medical help immediately. Some do need to go to the doctor. For men, women, hernias, infections, pieces of metal or wood in their legs is taken out right there. Emmanuel will tell me what he needs, how much for the medicine to hold the medical camp for 2 days. And then I try to raise the money to bring it with me so they are able to have the medicine they need.
My brother, I think the weekend that I was there with you, they did something like over 50 surgeries, and that's all without anesthesia.
All without anesthesia. And sometimes we think, how do they do that? Wow, I don't know how they do it, but they do. But I think if you want medical help so bad, you will bear the pain. And that's what they did. They just put up blankets, and them are the surgery rooms. One time I was asked to hold a little lamp so the surgeon could operate. I'm not medical, and I did everything I could not to pass out. But to see them laying there with just a very, very, very minor Advil, aspirin, is heartbreaking. But in the end results, they're healthy, happy, and can move better.
Your organization is, and you specifically, have made just a tremendous difference in the outcome of this village for those people that live there. But let's also investigate a little bit more. Tell us a little bit about when you, or how you came to run a farm.
They say God prepares you. And sometimes he doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. That's kind of my favorite saying when it comes to me. I come from a big family. There's 12 siblings. And then I married a farmer. And after 9 years of marriage, he was killed on the farm. I raised my 3 children and the farm, rented the farm out. And right after that, I was watching a TV show called, I think, Feed the Children by Sally Struthers. And I couldn't believe the children lived that way. With the bugs flying around, they were so thin, they were just not healthy. That's when I decided to sponsor Joy and then visit her. So I believe raising my own children, 3 children, as a single mother, pretty much opened the door to my eyes of seeing what the mothers over there are put up with, because many of them are single mothers. Many of the children are, if not all of them, are orphaned by one, if not both parents. Here in the U.S., I had all the luxuries. I had a home, a warm home, a bed, running water, food on my table. But over there is none of that. That's when I thought, I need to help them. That's when God really stepped in and said, you want to help? I'm going to show you how. My parents, even though there was 12 siblings, they sponsored 3 children themselves. I remember thinking, we're not enough. Sometimes it's not a question about being enough. It's just a question that they were called to give, and I was called to give. not only of yourself, but financially as well.
What about when you go over there, some of the ministry you do with the women there? And especially tell the story about the soap.
Oh my goodness. I will never look at a bar of soap the same way. The first year, Reverend Abraham suggested to have a women's ministry. I said, okay, that sounds like an excellent idea. We would share the Word of God, encourage them, feed them, and hopefully it would be enough to give them a heart to continue raising their children and put value in themselves. At the end of the retreat, Reverend Abraham asked me, we need to give them a gift. And I thought, a gift? We're in Uganda. What do you give them? He said, how about soap? I said, perfect, soap. We went out and bought 220 bars of soap. Actually, the bars are about this long, about this wide. Gave each of them one, and then they went home. The next morning, I'm at the table in Reverend Abraham's home. As tradition we do, have a cup of tea before we start the day. And Marab, she was a young mother, come running in and just threw herself down in front of me and said, Mama Linda, do you know what you did? And I said, no, but I hope it's good. She said, they're singing and dancing at the well this morning. They're singing and dancing at the river. There's mothers washing their babies and washing their clothes for the first time because of the soap that you had given them. There's many moments over there where I don't know what to say other than thank you, Lord, for that wisdom of soap. To this day, like I said, every time I go into a shower or wash my hands and there's soap, I think of soap in Uganda and how life-changing it is to the mothers.
I also know as part of some of the celebrations, you've ended up doing some dancing too.
Oh gosh. You know, when in Uganda, you do as Ugandans do, same with Rome or anywhere else you're traveling. And now when I come to the village, there is just so much warmth of welcoming and singing and dancing that they make you one of them. Putting the ribbon around your waist, different shawls that they make for you. The singing and dancing of children and mothers is over the top. I often tell people that when my day comes and God calls me home, if that welcoming is even a fraction of what His is, I can't wait.
I can attest to the fact that when the van with Linda pulls up to the village, there's, 600, 1,000 people somewhere there, mostly kids, but adults too, spread out across the road, just waiting for her to show up. And they're laughing and screaming and singing. Last time I was there was a band.
There was a band, yep.
And then they marched down half a mile down the road to the school. She's in the middle of everything, and it is like the 4th of July and Thanksgiving and Easter all sort of rolled together into one.
David, I can't help but be humbled by that moment, because it's not me, it's the Lord working through me. I am just ever thankful and grateful that the Lord had chosen me to be His advocate and to show the love of Jesus to each and every one of those children, because they are God's children.
Things do happen. I remember one year you were involved with a crash, and I know everybody was concerned for you. I think things were delayed, right, for your next visit?
Yes, I'm sitting here thinking crash. There was...
The one up in the Amish country, with the road where you got hit by... Did a truck hit you? Did you break your arm or something?
Oh, here.
Yes,
The
yes,
crash here. I'm thinking there.
No, here.
Oh, no. That was pretty serious. But yet the Lord had it all worked out. My husband and I decided to take the day off up into Amish country and spend some time up there together and just seeing how they live their life. And when we decided to come home, it was dark. And coming around a corner, I believe it was, a truck had backed over across the road and we hit it straight on. All I remember is the crash. And the next time waking up, realizing I'm in the hospital in Kenton, and they took my husband to a hospital in, I think, Dublin. I'm like, what went on in that accident? I had broken 8 ribs, fractured 3 vertebrae, and nobody really knew how it was all going to turn out. I was supposed to go to Uganda in 1 month. I always told my kids that if something ever happens to me, that they need to get a hold of Reverend Abraham, because those people over there know how to pray. They know how to pray. To my knowledge, for the next 2 days until I was out of ICU, they were on their knees around the clock praying for my husband and I, that our bodies would heal and God would provide complete health for us again. He did. That's why I'm sitting here. But the best part about all of that is I'm healed pretty much 90%. The doctor said I wouldn't. But since it was 30 days out, I usually raise money before I go, and to use it for books, school supplies, food for the children, food for the homeless. I decided to do the 30-30-30 campaign. Some of you might know it. Some of you might even heard of it and didn't know what it meant. But I asked 30 people to give $30 to feed a family for 30 days. As simple as that is, everyone wanted to give. Everyone wanted to give $30 for 30 families. I think that year it went up to 50-30-30, which there was no complaints on that side. But again, it tells me how God is in the midst of all of this, and he does make everything work out. But the accident was serious. But through the grace of God, I'm sitting here and be able to share my story of not only where God has worked in my life, but it worked in the children's lives and worked in many of your lives to help support a child in Uganda, Africa, the village of Nabasa.
And if somebody wanted to sponsor a child, how much is it and how would they go about that?
How much is it? Very minor. It's $1 a day. $1 a day will get them schooling, they'll get them food, medical, spiritual assistance. Very simple. Let me know. You can email me at lindamckanna@gmail.com and say you're interested in sponsoring a child, and I will send you information. And I ask for $1 a day through Venmo, PayPal, personal check, cash. It doesn't matter. For me, I get it all lined up. I send you a picture of your child, and it is your child, seeing how I don't take an income. I don't have this slush fund that if you don't pay, I'll pull it from the slush fund. You don't pay, I pay. Now that's where I have a problem. So I have no problem calling you and saying, Mary, your sponsorship is due. Is there something I can help you with? Anything you want to answer? But it's $1 a day. Let me know. I will give you a girl, boy, the age. I can get it arranged for you. It's very simple, and that's all it takes.
Thank you very much, and I just can attest for having been there twice with Linda on one of those visits, seeing what goes on and what she does, and it's just absolutely amazing. And seeing the look of the kids when she shows up, something I'll always remember, and especially the soccer balls.
Oh my God.
We took a whole bunch of soccer balls over there, and I had to blow them up the night before. And there's 600 kids standing in the courtyard, and all of a sudden we let loose with all these soccer balls, and they were flying everywhere. But it just shows you how they go from completely disciplined, standing in lines, to just being kids and playing with a ball.
Playing with a ball, something they don't get.
So, little things and big things. $1 a day can make a huge difference in a life. Thank you very much, Linda.
You're welcome.